I am your DM Bonny, and I'm glad to see you found your way back to Pokemon Cross D&D, a series where we'll explore story through character design pulling from two of my favorite obsessions. However, you must be wary, traveler, as there are spoilers ahead, so be sure to check out last week's session to get caught up on all the lore. Flint's barrow was indistinguishable against a sea of pubs littered across the Cantona region. To describe it as dirty and decadent would be a compliment, and it certainly wouldn't stop the patrons who frequented it from coming back every night. The town of Pewterton was home to hardworking folk, miners who dug for ore and other minerals from sunrise to sunset, and the tavern was where they could wash away their sweat. For that reason, when the haughty snarls and chortles followed by rattling metal got closer and closer to the tavern, the patrons inside began to feel uneasy. A few even got up to leave, only to have their paths blocked by the men covered in shoddy armor. The one in the front of the troop shoved the guest aside, inciting the other soldiers to howl with laughter. "Move it, you drunk!" The patrons all went quiet, and turned their gaze to their meals and ale. "What's with all you lot then? We keep this sad excuse for a town safe from bandits and monsters, and this is how you treat us? Ha! Don't worry, you can pay us an ale." One of the soldiers reached to some meat closest to him when a hooded patron stopped the advance. "Careful with your next move, grunt." The grunts of Team Bastion, the new law of the land. A band of troops in service of the new king of the Cantona region gathered under the banner of Team Bastion. They respond to the orders of their commanding officers known as admins, but otherwise take it upon themselves to enforce the law as they see fit. Having been able to establish a reputation of enforcing through terror, they've become an ungovernable lot. The grunts all use standard issue swords and are trained in basic combat arts. Alone, they are weak. That said, their fighting prowess has devolved into using dirty tactics and abusing the code of honor and ethics established by the previous ruling king. They are no-frill fighters who rely on numbers to win their skirmishes. Team Bastion had been abusing their station of power for quite some time now, and filling in the holes left behind when the region fell into torment after the downfall of the last ruling family. The grunts push their reign of terror on those who cannot fight back, but there have been a growing number of cases of those who have been rising up against their tyranny. Let's take a brief moment to rest here, traveler. Here's this week's quest board, which has an all-new question of the day. Be sure to respond in the comments below. You're in the tavern minding your own business when a Team Bastion grunt shoulder checks you. Which Pokemon would you hope to have your back in a classic tavern brawl? Careful with your next move, grunt. The hooded figure released the soldier's hand and grabbed their cup, bringing it up to their lips. As they knocked the drink back, their hood fell to reveal a shock of blue, pink, and silver hair. Her golden eyes seemed to pierce right through the grunt, forcing him to step back. "You've got a lot of nerve, lady." "I was just thinking the same about you. Listen, I've had a long day, and I really don't want to have to kill all of you." "Shut your mouth, wench!" The grunt dropped to the floor, holding his wrist. Immediately, the other grunts leapt out at the woman. All-out mayhem broke loose. And wouldn't you be surprised to find that off hiding in the corner was one Curtis and Jirachi, who had made their way earlier to Pewterton to find some help. The woman moved gracefully around the grunts, although her attacks registered a bit off kilter. Within moments, the grunts all laid face down on the floor. Curtis and Jirachi's eyes grew wide. "Who are you?" asked a grunt from the floor. "It can't be," muttered another. "That... she's... the hero of many battles." Zacian, the wolf on the wind. A wandering mercenary who had been given a multitude of names, although she claims none but Zacian. The tales of her battles have become legends throughout Cantona, as she's moved through town and city in search of coin and shade. A storied fighter, no one knows where she came from, or where she heads to next, but all are willing to pay with mead in hopes to hear her truth. Zacian is seemingly proficient with nearly all manner of weapons, bladed or otherwise. She seems to prefer to brawl up close though, as if to be engaged in the fight to feel any semblance of excitement. Although she's an older individual who's lost a step or two, she makes up for it with uncanny strength. Zacian wanders the road almost aimlessly, in pursuit of a dream she had long forgotten. One thing is certain, however. Her feats on the battlefield have become nightmares for those who have become obstacles on her path. Zacian lives in the present, burying her past and turning a blind eye to the future. She makes eye contact with Curtis before stepping out of the tavern. Curtis and Jirachi hopped over the bodies of the grunts to chase after the mercenary they watched in awe. "Excuse me," called out Curtis. Zacian continued to walk, when all of a sudden, the door to Flint's barrel came flying off its hinges. A grunt, eyes glowing violet, pointed their blade at Zacian. Curtis and Jirachi ran towards the woman, when several more grunts followed out of the tavern. "I'm scared," muttered Curtis. The sound of footsteps soon began to build up from all around them, and now they were surrounded by grunts whose eyes were searing with purple embers when a figure leapt out from the second floor of the tavern. An impish figure smiled from underneath the hood.
"I don't think you all plan to die here, so come with me if you want to live."
Thank you, Traveler, for joining me on today's adventure. Be sure to complete all of your tasks on the quest board before we set out on our next session. I've been Bonny, your DM and artist. Until next time, safe travels, Traveler.